Welcome back to the Corrective Culture podcast. Today we have Mark Minichiello. One of our friends is a Chek Practitioner. He's a ex-football professional. Football in Australia is NRL, I believe. So welcome to the potty. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, thanks guys. It's a pleasure to be here, mate. Yeah, we've known each other for a few years now. So it's great to be here, and let's get into it, eh?
Yeah. Fucking oath.
Yeah, cool. What I first took from when we met, man, is I was like, oh, this guy's not the footy archetype at all. But got the footy look, you know what I mean? Yeah, like big fucking legs and quads and shit. But then when you were talking about the body, I was like, oh fuck, he really knows what he's talking about, eh? And like and really passionate. That's what I got. Really passionate that you just wanted to know everything. You know, you were like curious about this and curious about that, and just exactly like me, you know. And it was cool to see, because it was when you guys did IMS 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did IMS 2 online, and we were doing it online, and then we'd have a few conversations, like, and I'd be like, Mark, and then someone was like, yeah, he used to play footy, but he's really good. And then obviously I knew the last name.
Yep.
And I was like, oh fuck, this is sick. And then then we kind of kept in touch, and then you come up to do IMS 2 at my house.
That's right. We did it at your house.
Yeah. Yep. So that was sick. And then we hung out a bunch, and it was fucking awesome.
It's been great to get to know you guys. And
yeah, for sure. I think that the same thing. Like, I was blown away, and I think you see that at the highest level of any sport. People are very humble, and they're very wanting to learn. And I think that's what makes great athletes, is people that don't think they're the shit. They're I mean, like even Conor McGregor, he thinks he's the shit, but he's still very humble in the way he learns. Don't you reckon?
Yeah, all of them, man.
It's
all
like that.
Like Dacos and that, Yeah, they just want to improve. LeBron James, fuck, everyone's just wanting to improve. Yeah. Looking for that edge.
I think I've always been like that. Like, you want to get the best out of yourself. You want to, perform at the highest level, and I'm quite competitive, so. I want to do everything I can to make sure that I'm, performing at my absolute best. So that curiosity of how can I get more out of my body? How can I, learn more so I can be better? And and I've always been one not to like be in your face. I'm quite humble.
Yeah, for sure.
With what I've done in my career, and
for sure you are. Yeah, and that's what was so respectable about you, and so approachable. You're not like, when I met you, it's not like, he's like Callan said, he's not playing the football archetype. Like he is who he is, and it's humble and it's authentic, and it's like I love being around people like that.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
And I wanted to get into, man, like of how, like did it start you getting into like just looking after yourself in that sense of organic food and exercise and that? Did that start as just wanting longevity in your career? Is that what fueled that desire?
Absolutely, yeah. So, like I'm Italian, grew up in an Italian household. Mum always cooked every meal from scratch, makes her own pasta. Nice. So, like, food is a massive thing in Italian culture, but definitely in our household, it was everything surrounded around food. But we weren't necessarily eating, I'd say, a healthy diet. Like Italian food's a lot of pasta, a lot of, it's made with love and it's like soul food, right? So I grew up thinking that, you got a carb load before games, and, all carbs are good, you need that for energy. And I think the first half of my career I was quite inflamed.
Yeah, right.
Especially because when you come into a professional setting, they start to throw protein shakes down your throat, and you got to take all these supplements, and it didn't sit well with me. But you just did it. You're young, and so you're taking all this in, and before you know it, you've got inflammation in the body, and you're playing a physical game. Like, it's a very physical game, so you're inflamed after games, and then when you compound that with, not the right nutrition, before you know it, you've got issues, you've got injuries, and so it got to a point in my career where I'd had shoulder surgeries younger in my career, so 20, I think I had my first shoulder reconstruction.
Wow.
And then, shoulder injuries was what sort of plagued my career. But I didn't miss games. I'd always have end of season surgeries.
Right.
I'd play through. I'd strap it. Do all the rehab and just fight through the pain, anti-inflammatories, get me through to the end of the season, get it repaired, do your rehab, back the next year. So I think in total in my career, I probably had 4 or 5 shoulder surgeries.
Yeah, like labrum surgeries and stuff.
So both shoulders have been reconstructed.
Yeah.
The left anterior and posterior.
Wow.
Right anterior, and then a couple of clean outs along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But what really, back to your question, is made me switch was when I think it was 2012. Yep, 2012. My shoulder was just giving me grief. I couldn't lift above my head. It was just affecting in the gym, really affecting what I could lift. I went back to the shoulder surgeon, and he had a look at the MRIs and said, "Your shoulder's like arthritic. You'd be lucky to get another 2 years."
Wow.
And he said, in 10 years, you'll be seeing me for, not me because I'll be retired, but you'll be seeing someone for a shoulder replacement.
Wow.
And I was like, this is not where I want to be.
Scary.
Yeah. I was 2012. I was probably 30 at the time, and I'm like, I'm not gonna need that. And then that just started changing my mindset about I've got to change some things if I want to have more longevity in my career. So, that planted the seed, and then along with that, my brother went through some really tough injuries, back surgeries, missed a whole chunk of his career, and he rebuilt his whole body through nutrition.
Wow.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so he's got MRI scans of before and after he changed his diet and how his discs are now back to normal size.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, so he actually saw a Chek Practitioner. I didn't know at the time, but he was a Chek Practitioner. Donald knows him, actually.
Oh, Aaron.
Aaron. Yeah, so Anthony worked closely with Aaron and rebuild his body and come back to play Origin again and you know,
killed it.
Playing over 300 games for the Roosters. So, so it was like I had that from the surgeon. Then Anthony had rebuilt his whole body, and then when I moved to England, that was when. That was the end of 2014. That was when I really implemented change.
Yeah.
Because I was that first year I was in England, I played 36 games, averaged 73 minutes through the season.
Wow.
So like I was playing big minutes, a lot of time, and my body was, I was 33 possibly. I played 5 years. Yeah, 33 at the time. So I was like, if I'm going to get longer out of my career, I've got to make changes. So then I just went completely full organic. I'd stopped taking protein. I was never a big protein shake sort of guy because I knew it wasn't isolated protein. It's not great for you. So I'd only take collagen after workouts and just use nutrition. And my inflammation just went completely down.
That's
my
cool.
shoulder was completely fine, no pain, and now I've got no pain in my shoulders. I was recovering quicker than 20-year-olds over there, and then I had time to really dive into a lot of health issues, other health hacks, and more holistic view on performance, and then just totally shifted and got another 5 years out of my career, and at almost 38, I just didn't want to do it anymore. I was living in England, the weather.
Yeah, it's a bit depressing.
I've got 4 boys, the lifestyle for them, it just, other things started to, I didn't want to bash my body around all the time. Playing the game was great. It was awesome. But the training you got to do,
It's got bored? Was it boredom?
It wasn't boredom. It was just like, I don't want to bash my body anymore.
Yeah.
At training, 38, I don't need to be wrestling to prove that I can still, I've done that for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And you got some young guys that want to wrestle their heart out to show their authority at training. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't need to do this.
Fully.
It's like heaps of UFC fighters now, man, don't even spar, eh?
Yeah, right.
Heaps of the older ones, they stop sparring.
It's the training that breaks you down. It's not the playing. You can get yourself up for a game.
Yeah.
You've done it for so long. Mentally, how to prepare yourself for a game. But it's the training that, breaks you down.
It's like that in all sports. Like I remember even Jan was saying in Australian Institute of Sport, she's like, everybody is overtrained.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is across the board with pretty much every sport.
Yeah.
Like if you're not, I feel like that's got to change.
Yeah. And like goniometry and stuff for like each player. That could be cool, man.
Oh, fuck yeah.
The thing about that is, like, I've always been, you need to individualize training because they do to a degree, forwards and backs.
Yeah.
But that's
yeah.
There's forwards and there's forwards. Like I was a agile back rower. I shouldn't train the same as a big front rower.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the problem in team sports and rugby league in general is that there's not enough, they don't put enough money and resources behind individualizing because it takes time and money and it need, to individualize 30 different people and do a full individual assessment on 30 guys.
Yeah.
It takes time and money and the coach just wants you out there on the field training. So there's a real it's a hard one because it would definitely change the game.
Yeah. How fun would it be?
Yeah.
Just to see what happens to the team. Yeah.
Well, Matt did it with Chelsea, right? And then they had the lowest.
Oh, they had the lowest
injuries ever.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like the injury rate would go down significantly.
Yeah.
If you individually measured everyone's hips and had a look at your core as opposed to yours and what you need to do compared to what he needs to do. And then you train your program,
Yeah.
Fuck, it's just so different for crew,
It's like in an ideal world, that's like the perfect scenario.
Yeah.
Right? But can it happen?
And finding the people that can do that, like
good trainers are scarce.
But they wouldn't know where to start,
They
Yeah.
That's cool though. It's a cool thought.
Yeah, because we were talking about it last night, talking about tonic fiber training and endurance type training and how, with athletes we work with, we find that they're pretty weak in that sense. And how generally you're getting injured at the end of the game. Those last 10 minutes, I remember watching Origin and then at the last 10 minutes, everyone's getting fucked up, right? Because you're just so fatigued and you're not using your body in the same way. And because their tonic fibers would be shot by then.
Yep.
So it's like there's so many things you can bring into it. And
that's probably the biggest one, right?
Yeah.
Like the tonic fiber training, like with every person we see, they're either caused turning off, their breathing's
100%.
dysfunctional, the tonic fiber is so weak. Like it's hard. I've been doing prone cobras lately and it's hard to do 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like...
And that type of training is boring to an athlete too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, what's this doing for me?
Yeah, exactly.
But if they can understand that by building your tonic fibers, you're going to have more power and more strength once they're strong.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that will translate into more power and acceleration and everything.
Yeah.
But it's spending the time with that athlete to educate him enough to say, if you did this at the start of the pre-season for a month or even the off-season, you do the tonic fiber training, then you come into the pre-season strong in that way, then you're going to get so many more gains, with every other part of your training.
Yeah. It's also not as fatiguing too. So they could do it in...
Exactly. Right. So you're not going to have the lactic acid build up the next day.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't weigh on you as much when you walk out of the gym. You feel fine.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed actually when I've done heavy weights. I can walk out feeling fucked. But sometimes when I got the energy, that's good. But sometimes when I don't have the energy, that's not good.
Yeah.
And then, but when no matter what postural workout I do, you walk out feeling like when you walked in.
Yeah.
So
and it's like when you're doing it at the time, the muscles are fatigued, but you can push through it. It's not like that fatigue where you have to like stop.
Yeah. Like a nervous system fatigue.
Yeah. It's like a good fatigue.
Yeah.
And then you can push through it.
Yeah.
But then you don't get the lag the next day, the 2-day soreness, you know what I mean?
Man, you'd be a king at recovery, right? Because you just have to be.
Recovery was everything for me.
Everything.
So from even at the start of my career, I was first to training and last leave. Like that was, I'd be there. I was big on stretching and massive on recovery. Ice. I was in the ice every day, I reckon.
Wow.
After training. Like that was just
Did that just make a huge difference? Like the ice for you? Like
for me it did, massively.
Yep.
Like just down regulating the inflammation straight away. Because it's a week in, week out game. It's physical. It's physical at training. It's physical at, in the game. So if you want to perform better, you have to recover. So that, for me, recovery was where I spent most of my time.
Yeah, right.
After training, I'd spend half an hour stretching, then I'd go in the ice. People would be walking out before I've even left the mat to finish stretching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'd do the ice, the contrast, and then shower. And I would always make sure that I'd done everything. So when I went home, I could just switch off. So I knew mentally if I did everything right while I was there, then I didn't have to worry and I didn't have to have that thing in my head to say, have I done enough to perform the next day or on the weekend?
That's so cool. That kind of, you can, and that carries over into everything in life. Like, if you want to be successful at something, you got to start moving towards it with like tunnel vision like that. Like if you wanted to be one of the best athletes in the world, which you were, that's what you needed to do. And it's the same with Chek Practitioning or building a business or anything. Anything
in life. It's the self-discipline to do what needs to be done, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Like when you're in a team sport and in a professional environment, you've always got that external disciplinary, the strength and conditioning, the coach. But if you want to become the best, it's the self-discipline to do everything else outside of the training that makes the biggest difference. You know what I mean? So, it was never pushed on you to get in the ice. Sometimes it was, like after games definitely, but not after training, and that was all sort of left to yourself. So I knew recovery was going to be big, so the self-discipline to get in the ice every single day after a game or after a training session was just a non-negotiable because I knew it'd give me the chance to perform better the next day. And it's the same in life, in anything. You have to have the self-discipline to want to get better and want to do things. And it's the consistency of doing it over and over again that's going to give you the benefits. And like you said, it will translate to anything in life.
Yeah, well, it's like what you're doing now, man. Like you've transitioned into a Chek practitioner and doing it well and putting like content out there now, some good content and getting some really good results. Is there one client that stands out for you that's like, oh, I feel really proud of that one, or a really good success story that stands out amongst the rest for you?
Yeah, probably two. One, I had a female client who had 20 years of thoracic outlet pain.
Wow.
Cool.
And the doctors offered her a surgery to cut out the first rib.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that.
The go-to.
Like that just sounds ridiculous. Like she was never considering that.
Yeah.
But we only worked together for, I think, 10 sessions, 12 sessions at max. The last 2 sessions was more lifestyle and nutrition. But 10 physical sessions, and her pain is completely gone. 20 years of, like, debilitating pain and just doing the most simple changing of breathing, activating a core, getting her posture right, has significantly improved her life. Like, that's the stuff that you enjoy doing, right?
Yeah.
Changing people's lives. And you guys are the same. You're not there to have a client forever. You're there to teach them the skills and techniques so they can live a better life and go on and hopefully influence, the ripple effect of what we teach. So that one was really like, I like that story because she was in such pain.
Yeah.
One other one, Jordan come there. He's a young guy, 22, and just had pain throughout his whole body, like neck pain, back pain, just sort of inflamed. And he actually did your cleanse.
Oh, cool.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so that sort of, I think, was the opening to this world. He when he contacted me, he said, "I'm just about to start the Corrective Boys cleanse," and I went, "Perfect, that's great.
Yeah,
that's a great starting point."
Yeah,
and then we worked together, and his posture's completely changed. His mental attitude is, he's out of pain, doing everything now. Done HLC1 and
cool.
IMS1 and going down the path of just completely shifting his whole life. Just great story.
Yeah. With the Thoracic Outlet girl, like, is there anything that you remember that stood out of like why? Like, was her collarbones really depressed? Was it more on the neck?
It was. It wasn't so much that her collarbones were depressed. There was obviously compression between the collarbone and the first rib. That's the Thoracic Outlet, but it was more her breathing. Her breathing pattern, 25,000 times a day, real chest breathing. So that upper thoracic breathing, just compressing and muscle tightness, just closing that space. So that was probably the biggest one. And then just creating space, a little bit of tissue work in the neck, just real gentle, and more trying to change the CNS, the central nervous system input, because that because of the pain was there for so long. It's almost like you can fix the issue, but if you don't change the nervous system, that will still fire, right?
Yeah,
the
sensitization.
Will still fire. So just changing the input and trying to relax and making sure that she started from a place of parasympathetic, so she could relax and the central nervous system could feel safe.
Yeah.
So then
breathing would have done a lot of that, did it? Like, when
that's right. So that's why we started with breathing.
That's
and
it.
Just being in a real parasympathetic state. Start from that state, and then you can make the change because the nervous system feels safe. When the nervous system feels, unsafe, that's when everything fire
fight or flight, eh?
Yeah. What's your go-to technique for teaching breathing to someone? It's
just getting them to breathe into their diaphragm. So for someone who is very chesty, for me it's I get them either laying on their stomach because they can feel the feedback from the ground, or on their back, whichever's more comfortable. But it's not trying to breathe in their stomach. My cue is to breathe silently, slow and silent through the nose, because if you can feel the air through the nostrils, then you automatically breathe in your diaphragm.
Right.
So it's breathing slow, silent, so you can't hear yourself breathe, and then your focus is trying to feel the air through the nostrils.
Fuck, that's cool, man.
That's really cool. Yeah. And I remember Nam Baldwin saying something very similar, but I thought that like breathing into like especially your posterior diaphragm, because I couldn't feel mine, and I was like trying to do that. And then when I became calm and I went like you just said, then I felt the posterior diaphragm like expand laterally and posteriorly, and I was like, fuck, it's like it knows what to do.
Yep.
You just got to be like, that makes perfect sense to me. Yeah.
So that's cool. That's my first cue, is to be silent with your breath, only nasal breathe, and then the body will know how to use the diaphragm. Obviously, you need to correct the ribcage pelvis alignment and make sure that they're stacked so that the diaphragm can fully compress down. But in a neutral, when you're on your back, that's neutralized.
Yeah.
So then you allow that to happen.
I saw a really good, we were watching Diane last night. I saw a really good Diane video. She had a girl standing up and then try to get TVA like retraction or some sort of core retraction, and then showed how when the pelvis and thorax is stacked, how it comes in, and then how when she got it off rhythm, so she basically put the girl into a big anterior sway at the pelvis, like she couldn't really draw the lower abdominals in. So it shows you how much body positioning matters, hey?
Anterior sway, like, do you mean like
anterior, like shift, like the whole pelvis shifted forward.
Oh, okay, sick.
Yeah.
And for me, the stacking of the ribcage and pelvis is massively important.
Yeah. And
posture doesn't really matter, but
Oh man, how's this? I got a guy that shared a podiatrist in Perth. Harry showed me. He shared something on my duck feet, and how he goes, this idiot. Look at this idiot talking about how these muscles cause external rotation, and he goes, and look at this, because I talked about how when you have externally rotated legs, you can't rotate well, because when you rotate, it jams the labrum. And he's like, he externally rotates his legs and he starts rotating. He's like, I feel like I can rotate fine, and I was like, what? And I was like, literally, I didn't respond to him. I think he's got like fucking no followers. He's literally like a sort of fat,
one of
like
those guys,
somewhat more, almost morbidly obese sort of dude, right? But I was like, okay, if you're listening to this right now, stand up, externally rotate one leg. No, don't even externally rotate it yet. Just stand up and check your rotation through your thoracic spine, and then like I'd put my hands on my shoulders and then rotate. And then externally rotate one leg as far as you can, and then try and rotate to the other side, and you'll feel that
in the hip.
Yeah, the hip is fucked.
I can feel it already.
Yeah, yeah, because it just jams the femur into the labrum.
Yeah,
and I don't know how I got into that right now, but posture doesn't matter. That's how we got into that. Like one of those guys.
Isn't that crazy though? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. I was watching something the other day. I can't remember what it was called, but. It's about a pendulum swinging, and it's about how all life, birth and death and everything goes from like your birth, death, and everything in life is really yin and yang. I know it's like the oldest thing in the world, but we need people like that, you know, and you need people like us.
Yeah.
And it's like, but how can you rest in the middle of that? I feel like that's the key to life, like resting in the middle and not being too swayed by one way or the other way. You just got to kind of sit in the middle and just be like, it's all good.
Yeah, it's like the law of polarity, right?
Yeah,
there's always
that
duality.
Duality, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. But you know, there's night and there's day. And, you know, good and bad, and you know, you can't have one without the other.
I know, but it doesn't feel weird when you're like, he's fucking got to be wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what is that? It's like, because we're all one thing, really, but we need. It's almost like you got to step behind the world of thought and everything and just be like, all right, love everyone. But at the same time, the cunt's telling you to fucking, he reckons it rotating that. It's like, it's wrong.
He put a photo of potato on my head.
Fuck off. Yes, dude.
Yeah, I love this guy.
I know. And you know what the good thing was, actually, when Harry showed me, I was like, oh, this doesn't trigger me at all. It actually didn't trigger me. But I reckon a year ago it would have.
Really?
Yeah, because I was like, oh, this is expected now.
Dude,
there's so much shit out there now. It's like you're gonna have to, you know, there's videos that are millions of views now, so there's gonna be fucking 30 people out of 1,000 that are just trashing on it, and like you just gotta let them do it, because anyone that does trash on someone else's shit, it's pretty weird.
Yeah, well, put yourself in his shoes for a sec. Like, you're sitting at home and you're looking at someone's posts. Like, I've never done it and gone like, fuck, this cunt's wrong. Like. What a fucking, how you got to be mentally?
You're obviously triggering something in him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A podiatrist, I'm telling him about the feet. You know, like
exactly.
True.
So it's his insecurities coming out. And
yeah. And if he wants to fucking go there, he can come in and do some jiu-jitsu.
That's right. In my head, I'm like, man, in one-on-one unarmed combat, he's a dead man. He's a dead man. So
how funny is how like our brain just naturally go that as a man. Sometimes you're like, would I be able to kill him?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, he'd be dead. Like, so it's funny.
Just the reptilian brain takes over.
Yeah, it's still in us. Yeah, it's all peace and love. I'm like, fuck this cunt.
Yeah.
That's just automatic, isn't it? Especially if you've played, like if you've done combat sport.
Fuck yeah.
Like, it's like innate to go back to that.
Oh, dude.
I think Harry's making an edit now, or like something in the new vlog where I think you must have said something like what calm or
no. It was like, I feel pretty calm. I feel pretty calm.
Yeah,
do I look calm?
Yeah, that's right.
And then he beats me at chess, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah, after these games, we've been losing at chess. And he's like, fuck, I always fucking do that, man. Like,
yeah, and dude, I've learned to love that side of me, like that anger that comes up and stuff like that. Like, you can't shun who you really are. No. The other day, I was driving in my car, and I'm like, it was from here to Jits, and I was like, I'm gonna do mantra the whole way. So I'm sitting there, I'm doing mantra, and I was like, man, ram. And then I go to turn off, and this cunt's like up my ass. And he's like, and instantly out of the mantra I come, and I was like, fuck you, motherfucker. And I was like doing this. And I was like, in my head, I could see how caught in it I was, though.
Yep.
And I was like, that's awesome. Like, there's anger there, but I'm actually not feeling angry right now. I'm actually just like, and then I was laughing, like instantly, just boom, laughing. And I was like, fuck, that's pretty cool.
I told you about that crackhead the other day.
No.
I was scooting home with Honey. It's on like Christmas Eve. Scooting home, happy as fuck, you know, the dog with me, shirt off, sunny's on in the sun. And then this dude in the car, like opposite side of Kiwana Way, goes, "I'll fucking stomp your head in, cunt, I'll kill you." And I look to my left and it's a full tattered face crackhead, right? He's tweaking out. Like he must have thought I was someone else or something. Yeah. And I looked at him and I realized, oh, this guy doesn't know me, but he must be hearing voices or something.
Yeah.
Like driving this car, he pulls like right. I don't even think he was pulling right to come. I feel like he would have been doing it to everyone or something, you know? And what in that split moment, so many things went through my head. And the first thing that went through my head was I should go up next to this guy and get him to come out of the car and humble him because he doesn't know. You know what I mean? Like he thinks he's like, it was way bigger than me, but I would have murked him, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I could teach him a lesson and just humble him, and I can be this all went through so fast from my head. I was like, I could just break this guy's arms right now and then give him a lesson. And then I thought, oh, okay, but he could just have a fucking gun or a knife or something. And he's the sort of dude that could just have a gun. He looked like fresh out of jail, this guy. Yeah. Like full, never seen more tattoos on his face, you know? And I was like, oh, my life could end like that. You know, and then I just like kept on scooting, you know, with Honey and
exactly,
you know, and then it was done, you know. But I had a choice in that moment, and the first choice wouldn't have been the optimal choice, you know. Yeah. But it's still in you. It's still in you as a man, so you got to control it.
It's those reactive energies. Do you still get them? Like,
100%.
It's like, and I think we're getting better at being like, I'm reacting right now. You know what I mean? Instead of going like I used to just be off with that. I was like, fuck, like, be caught in it. But now it's like, oh shit, I'm reacting right now.
Yeah. Because now you see someone that loses control, you almost see it as a weakness, eh? I see it as that.
Yeah, it's like you're losing your center of power, which is the worst thing you can do to anything.
You're giving your power away.
It is, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely still get that. And I still get that with the kids. I've got 4 boys.
True, so that would be testing.
They can test me like crazy, and they can trigger you, and they can, and you know, just it's life.
What's one way that they trigger you, like, because obviously they know you on such an energetic level, and it's like they'd know every little nook and cranny of how to get you. Hey,
yeah, I think we may have mentioned this last night, because I try and teach my kids to question everything, right? Yeah, because you know, don't just say, you know, it's okay to question your teacher. You know, as long as you do it respectfully. Yeah. Question them and ask why. And then make your own decision, right?
Fuck, that's cool.
But when they question you,
and
they're right,
you know it would be triggering.
It's just like
you're half my age. You're a quarter my age.
It's like, oh, this is like, you got to almost humble yourself and say, well, this is how we're bringing them up, but. Oh, it can be really, really hard.
Yeah, well, we were saying last night, I was talking about training Honey and being consistent at the start. He's like, it's the same with kids, being consistent. And as soon as you're not consistent, they'll say, oh, but you let us do it last time. Like, and then all of a sudden you lose that, oh, yeah, I did, but you have nothing to,
100%,
you know, so that they're always going to find their way, and how being consistent drives character into them, eh? Yep. Like if you're consistent that they get up, whatever, has to make their bed every single morning. After fucking a month of that, they're doing that, and they'll probably do it to the day they die.
100%. And my second child, Leo, he's like that. If he's hasn't got a task or something, he can just be moping around and just irritate his brothers, or you know what I mean. Like, but if he's focused on, like, he went through a phase where I gave him some exercises, and every morning he'd get up and do his exercises.
That's sick.
And just. Like, he was a different person.
Yeah.
Got into a habit, and then he stopped doing it. And I'm like, Leo, you know, you've stopped doing your exercises. Your posture's starting to waver a bit. You know, you got to get back into it. So, like, it's like you said, that consistency of giving them something, and then you just holding them accountable to that. And then they start to build that, and they understand that it improves their self-confidence, and everything builds from there, because when they can stick to something, they build trust within themselves, and then all of a sudden your self-esteem is higher, and you know when you can hold your the ability to hold yourself accountable to your word and be impeccable with your word and trust that builds self-confidence, that builds self-esteem. But just trying to teach them that.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool. They have like, because you got 4 boys, right?
4 boys.
Yeah. And like, is it weird? Like one of them would be deeper than the other, and then one's more like, they just have such much personality, eh?
Yeah, it's so true. Like they're all so different, and trying to understand them and like just the
That's crazy.
differences between the two, and then the dynamics of everything. And like my third child, Rocco, he's very deep. Like he asks questions about God and all this sort of stuff. And Leo is just like everything goes over his head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then, like Luca, first he's very well rounded and can understand things very quick. So he's like always like, me and him are looking like when something, Leah's like, what? And Luca looks at me and I'm like, he's rolling his eyes at his brother.
Yeah.
You know, because he hasn't got it.
Yeah.
And then like Rock will be thinking deep about it. And it's just like, it's
Fuck, that sounds cool.
And they're all
eh?
a part of you, eh?
Yeah.
They're all like a little bit of
And
of
they
you.
can all trigger you in different ways.
Fuck.
And it's
I'm
just
so
like-
scared of that one day.
Yeah.
But that's like by no means great at this, you know, but having 4, you start to get better at it.
It would have grown, made
and
you grow.
so much more because
Yeah.
they're there to teach you lessons. You know, our kids are there to teach you something.
Was
Fuck,
there a moment like when you're firstborn, life before and after your firstborn, was there something that shifted in you, or was it like a major change? Be like, oh, okay, this is a crazy thing now. Like, was there something like that? Was this what life's all about now, or what was it?
Yeah. So with your first, it's the biggest change.
Yeah.
Because you go from being selfish, it's all about me,
Mm-hmm.
to now having a child that you have to look after and you would give everything for them.
Mm-hmm.
So your whole life will shift and change with that first one by far. Like it's just, you all of a sudden there's just 2 of you. You can on weekends you can do whatever you bloody well want. You know, you're spending money on yourself.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you've got responsibility
Yeah.
of another.
It's hectic.
Life. Yeah. So then all of a sudden that will all shift into all right. What do I need to do now to make sure that this child has the best upbringing that I can possibly give him?
How did it and how did the relationship change between you and your wife when that happened? Like, was there an energy shift when you had a child together? All of a sudden there was a tether between you that felt different, or?
I wouldn't say a tether between us. No. What it does do is it takes away from you and your partner a little bit, because if you don't then carve out time, you know, for yourself
For the
again,
relationship,
for the relationship, then it makes it. Then you can start to just, you know,
Yeah, right.
life happens, right?
Yeah.
So, but even then, you get the second and then the third, and it's just like, and we still haven't got this down pat because we're just so busy, like, you know, our lives are just like pass and go half the time, you know what I mean? So this year is something that we've spoken about, is just carving more time, because our 4th goes to school this year. So now, you know,
You'll have a bit more time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've got a little bit more time. So carving that time out of the schedule, because you have to schedule everything when you got 4 kids, and there's sport here, sport there. They all play different sports, and it's just like,
Yeah.
you know,
it's crazy.
it's just like a bit crazy. So, just making sure that you're carving out time to keep that relationship strong.
And I think what was really cool, how we were talking last night, how you've traveled a lot, right? You've been to many countries, and how you've taken your kids on every single trip, and how you were saying, you know, most people just don't do it because they think it's too hard, but you're like, it's doable. You can do it. It's harder, but you can do it. And it's one of the best things that you've ever done in your life is giving that experience, that worldly experience to all these kids. Because a lot of, you know, like you're just growing up in Australian culture. It's very, even tall poppy syndrome here sometimes. Like
Definitely.
Like, and you can all of a sudden go see how life is in Italy and how the family eats dinner in the US or wherever you're going. And how cool that is. And how are the kids with you when they're traveling? Like, and also some cool traveling tips that I want to take on for people is like how you were saying, you hire a car wherever you go. So you can just go see the place no matter what, and you don't go stay at the resort. You go eat, like, you don't never eat Australian or American food. You go straight and eat the cultural food no matter where you're going. And the kids have adapted to that now. They're not just getting chicken nuggets and shit.
No, never. So, like you said, we've always travelled with our kids from day one, and it's the best experience. And they absolutely thrive, and they absolutely love travelling. They just go to a new place, like a new level of growth, you know what I mean? Because they're experiencing new things, and you're building life experiences. Like, that's what life's about, right? It's not about bloody working all your life and never, you know, it's about experiencing other cultures and life and growing, right? So, like I said, I think my third rocker was born, and 3 months later we were in Fiji hiking up this place sick. So I could go and swim in a waterfall.
Yeah.
I had the Fijians carry the pram behind us and I've got like a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old and a 3-month-old.
Holy shit.
And we're hiking up
Fuck yeah.
this place so we can go swim in a waterfall.
Yeah.
Like, people don't do that, and they don't think it's possible. But those experiences stay with the kids and build their character, and it is tough sometimes. You know, traveling overseas last year, 4 boys, long flights, like it's challenging, but it's there to, you know,
teach you
things and grow and what the kids get out of it by seeing different cultures. And like you said, we'll never go and stay in a resort. We always hire a car, and we always do local things. You know, when we were in Mexico, we climbed, you know, pyramids with them. We stayed out in the middle, then we went to the coast. And my wife is very good with planning and getting into the culture of things. So, you know, just like when we were in Italy, we stayed in a 16th century sort of villa in Tuscany one time. We harvested the olives. We pressed the olive oil. We lived the culture when we're there, so they can experience what it's all about.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What a sick story for
them.
them,
I know. And they're just what they'd be taking on, because they're just sponges. Like, they'd just be learning, you know.
So much. It makes them more worldly. It broadens their perspective on life.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can teach them that travel is one of the best things you can do. I believe in.
Yeah. It even inspired me last night here. Like, I'm like, I don't even have a missus yet, right? But I will have kids one day, and it's not close on my horizon. I feel that, because I sort of want to do it you've done. I want to set myself up in a sense, so then when I do have kids and a missus and all that, life's good, and I can do all that and not have to be worrying about being somewhere. I can just take them all and have a really good time and do that whenever the fuck I want. You know, that's the life I want to live, and that's what life you can live. And it's cool that you've seen so many countries with them. And I never even thought about that. I thought about, you got to get it all done before, and obviously I'll get a lot done before I have kids, but it doesn't have to stop.
No,
you know,
exactly right,
like it's life's on your own rules.
Yeah, live life on your terms. Hey,
yeah.
I was thinking yesterday. I was like, I really want to go see Minnesota, and it's not because like Minnesota's not great. You know, it's a pretty like Fargo and North Dakota and stuff like that. But I was like, there's people like us over there just going to get their morning coffee and just sitting in their diner and having their coffee. Like, I love seeing people's different way of life, and like that's their center of the universe, you know what I mean? And it's just such a weird feeling, don't you reckon, when you see people just doing that, and then every day is so fresh because you meet new people, and you kind of like, it just opens your whole spectrum of life up. You like, and you come back here and you're like, you feel refreshed and new, and I just find there's nothing like that. There's no that you can't really. I mean, you can buy it because it costs money, but it's like I wouldn't put money on that kind of experience ever. Yeah. There's no new car's going to make you feel like that.
No, never.
So now with your work, man, what we were talking last night, how you got like a plan to, because you are very holistic in the sense, like you're very into the mental, emotional, into the nutrition, into the movement. I feel like you're very balanced in your Chek work. Yeah. Like, where I definitely am a bit more segued into the movement and whatnot, but I feel like you're very, like you've got a good grasp on all of it, and you've seemed to mold it well in what you're doing. And so you were talking about a 28-day reset.
Yes.
And I'd love to hear more about that and how cool that would be for just people listening, you know?
Yeah. So I'm about to launch a 28-day full body reset, and it's all centered around the 6 pillars, right? And teaching the tools and techniques on how to live a pain-free, healthy life, like getting longevity. Like we want to get old, but we want to be moving. We want to be thriving, right? So just taking concepts from each pillar and putting them into a challenge format where they've got to do certain things. So, you know, it's going to have like a full meal plan and recipes, and then I'm going to have some tasks for them to do, you know, throughout the 28-day challenge so that they can learn all those techniques, and then they can take it from there and build new habits so that they can start to thrive. So, you know, taking them through a detox into, you know, nourishment so they can thrive. So it's like a 3-step process: detox, nourish, thrive. And so I'm going to be teaching that live. This is like a beta launch of it, and I'm going to launch it probably the back end of January.
Sick.
And probably kick it off, you know, maybe February's 28 days, or I think it's a leap year, so 29, but whatever. So we might start then, and I'm going to teach the first version in a live setting, every week, and give them some tasks and things to do.
Like a Zoom live setting? Or
So it'd be Zoom. It'd be Zoom. And then if the concept works and people, you know, get some feedback, then we'll do it in more of a content, like course sort of challenge setting. But I just feel like everyone knows the basics, but they don't implement it, right? So how can I make it easy and implementable so they can change their habits so they can then thrive, right?
Yeah.
Because so many people are living in pain and thinking it's normal. And, you know, I'm almost 42. I don't have pain. I've played one of the most physical games for 20-odd years. And I'm not in pain.
Yeah. There's something working.
There's something there, you know what I mean? So if I can just help
that's crazy.
Change some habits for some people.
And what I'd love to get into, man, is like because for your old disc injury, like that's what I reckon is going to be such a cool thing, because you've experienced it. You come back from it fucking quick too, especially how unique and sort of random and severe it was, and how quick you come back, and how so many people get back surgery and then just fuck for so long, right? And how you were talking about like creating something like post back surgery, like this is what I want people to do. And what was your journey when you went through your back surgery, basically?
Yeah, so a little bit of a background. Like when I think I was 20 at the time, I got a disc injury doing a heavy snatch in a pre-season, competitive. I can lift more than you. You know, I got a bit of a disc injury when I was 20, but you know, through my whole career, I never had back issues. Yeah, like I always managed it. I kept my core strong. I always managed it, and then I retired, no back issues. Went into what I'm doing now, and I wasn't training anywhere near as much. I hardly train much anymore. But that was a little lesson for me, because Christmas last year, 2022, Christmas time, I started getting some back pain. And then within a week, I was completely translated to the left. Like my whole thorax, my whole body was off to the left. Yeah. I was escaping some sort of pain, and it got worse and worse. And I knew it was disky because, you know, when the body does that, there's some sort of disc issue. But I couldn't, it just wouldn't resolve. I even went and got some treatment and then all of a sudden, like that, I woke up one morning in just debilitating pain through my glute and into my leg. And I was just on my back, and I was like, and then the next day, my leg started collapsing on me. When I'd walk, it would buckle. Yeah. And then then my muscle started wasting. So I acted quickly because I know the symptoms. and MRI. So I had a piece of disc sequestered, so it had broken off, gone outside the spine and lodged in L3-4 nerve, in and under the nerve on the pain receptor site. And so really surgery was the only way. Yeah, because if I left that nerve would eventually die, and I'd lose function of my leg long term. So I got, surgery advice, and it had to be done. So I went in, had it done, and they pulled out a lot of it, a lot of disc material that was in and around the nerve. And then knowing what I know now, I've just done everything possible, nutrition wise, exercise wise, breathing, to come back from that. And no pain anymore, legs functioning well. I still need to do more strength work on this quad to get that fully back. But
you guys seen this guy's quads?
It's wasted. Look at that.
It's fucking massive.
So like you said, March 1st I had the operation, so it's been 8 or 9 months.
Yeah, man. That's quick,
It's very quick.
But I remember I was going to Europe in June.
Yeah, right.
June 12th I left to go to Europe.
So you had 3 months to try and get.
I had 3.5 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to make this work, because Europe, we walk, we travel, we drive, you know what I mean? That's the way we holiday. I don't just sit on the beach.
Fully.
So, I made sure I did everything so I would be right for that trip, and the long flight, sitting for that long after back surgery is never, ever good, but got through it fine, what I mean? So then that gave me the thought, like you said, of creating an online program or course on how to rehab from a back surgery properly.
Yeah, right.
So you can thrive and come back, and I've lived through it. My brother's had 3 back operations from just playing the game that we played.
Yeah.
But knowing, the right nutrition, breathing strategies, hydrating and incorporating all the pillars, you can definitely come back from a back surgery and not have pain, not live in pain, and do everything again.
Yeah. That's really cool. And for were you playing, because it's sequestered, it's not really bulged, so did you bother with any extension Mackenzie stuff, or was that tolerable?
I could not do anything but lie on my back,
right,
and have my legs up on a couch, so I'm in a neutral position, standing, sitting, nothing, couldn't.
Wow.
Yeah, so I tried that before I had the nerve pain. I was trying all that.
Yeah.
And nothing would shift it.
Yeah. Well, so it's wrapped around the nerve, that one, eh?
Yeah. So there was something it's a physical thing then. You know what I mean? It's something that needs to be removed for your body to say, okay, now I can. It's
safe.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. You talk about the nervous system, how deeply ingrained the discs and the spinal cord nerves are and stuff for the nervous system. So you've just been fight or flight,
yep, 100%. And when you're living in chronic pain, it consumes you.
It does.
You know what I mean? It consumes your every thought.
Yeah.
And that's going back to the thoracic outlet syndrome client. You can't think of anything else but the pain. But that drives more of the same
More
pain.
of the pain.
Yeah.
And that's the whole. So I went through this now, experiencing that. I can use my mind to try and shift away from it, but it's fucking hard. So, because obviously the mindset, you can heal a lot of things with your mind, and, we've gone through things like that. But if you can take that pain away, then you stop that negative cycle of that, and it opens you up to free your mind to think of other things.
Yeah.
But when people are in chronic pain, they can't free their mind up to try and think of other things and be creative. And
it's cortisol, right?
Yeah, it's that fight or flight that consumes you, and then you get into that negative spiral, and before you know it, you're just down and you're depressed and you're in pain, and that's how people can spiral out of control.
Yeah, I felt trapped when I had that pain. Like I felt claustrophobic.
Yeah,
like fuck, I can't get out of here. Yeah, this can't be the rest of my life. This cannot be the rest of my life.
Yep.
Like, you know, it's a weird thing, and like you said, it's all consuming. Like even waking up in pain, that's when you know it's fucked. Mate. When you're waking up and you can't even sleep.
I was getting out of bed 4 times a night.
Yeah,
to try and lay on a ball to just relieve the pain.
Oh man.
Were you on painkillers and stuff?
Yeah, they weren't working because of the nerve pain. So I stopped because they didn't work.
Yeah.
Because it was on the pain receptor side. The surgeon said he'd only operated on like a handful his whole career of like that. It was very rare, he said. But he said extremely painful.
Yeah, that's right, because I spoke to you through it, and Susie was like, I was talking to Susie about it, and I was like, this is what's going on with him, blah, blah, blah. Because I was having the mentorship call at that time, and she said, oh, yeah, no, he needs surgery. She's like, oh, maybe. And then I think I showed her your MRI, and then she was like, oh, no, tell him he needs to go get operated on now.
Because I was resisting having surgery.
Yeah,
at
you
the
were.
Time, I was trying to say, like, if it's just a disc, I can
re-centralize it.
Break it down. If there is a piece broken off, I can break it down. But where it was, and then the symptoms in the leg.
Yeah.
And it just gets worse, like day by day. Hey, like if you leave it, you pretty much lose function in your leg.
Exactly. Like the nerve being compressed only has a short life, you know what I mean?
Like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, and even still now, like it can take up to 18 months to 2 years to get full functioning nerve back.
Right.
And then past that point, whatever you've got.
And you were saying, like, when you had the surgery, your leg was still numb and shit when you got out of it, eh? So that would have been such a fearful response, man.
Post surgery, the pain got worse.
Yeah.
Before it got better. And even at 8 weeks, when I went back to see the surgeon, he ordered another MRI to check to make sure that he got everything out of the nerve, because the pain was still quite strong.
Wonder if it was just so sensitized. It's the inflammation.
Well, and because we're talking about the nervous system, I'd had that pain for quite a while now. So when you take something away, the pain still fires.
Yeah.
So it could have been a little bit of that. You know.
Do you remember when you realized, oh, this is starting to get a little bit better? Like, oh, I'm starting to feel all right. Like, was it like after you did a workout or after, like?
It was, I think it was when I started to be, like, I was real consistent with some breathing exercises and just some slight hip, like, movements that I'd building up my glutes again. Then it just slow. It was a slow. It wasn't like a wake up one morning, no pain. It was like a slow progression where it started to not wake me up 4 times a night. It was 3, and then it was 2, and then I'd sleep through the night.
Wow.
Nice.
So once you slept through the night, it's like, now I can recover.
Yeah.
Because I'm sleeping through the night.
Yeah, fully.
So and then it's just like that slow. It was like a slow progression.
Yeah. And now you can talk from experience, man.
Yeah.
Any client,
Yeah,
like,
it's huge.
You felt it, eh?
Yeah.
Like, and you'd be empathetic, I guess, to someone else in that.
Oh, it definitely helped me be more empathetic with chronic pain clients, for sure. You know, I've always had a high pain tolerance with just the game that I played, but with chronic pain, it's different. I never, like, I'd had pain and surgery, but it wasn't like a lasting thing. And when you go through that, you change your perspective on it, and you are more empathetic towards it because it is so consuming.
Yeah, fuck, that's
Yeah, fuck.
that's a cool story, hey.
And it's like the pendulum swung, right? In heaps of pain.
Yeah.
Now you're creating a back pain program, or a heal yourself in 28 days program. So,
And what was I reckon it was just for people to hit, like, just a reminder, because that's so cool that your brother's disc height came back, and how cool is that MRI that guy showed us last night, man? How he had arthritis all through his spine, and then went and got another scan, and now it's gone.
Yeah, my brother now does talks on, through the change room program he's involved with, and shows how nutrition changed his back
that's
health.
so cool.
Wow. And he probably was the seed planner for me as well to start to change things, because I'd seen him come back from such, like everyone in the industry was telling him to retire.
Wow.
But he's just mental strength to say, no, I'll come back from this.
Yeah.
And rebuild his body, and and the come back and play Origin is just, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people could have done that. So the proof was there, and it just, a little nudge from him. I'll start taking some collagen, for your joints, and so then you start doing that, and you feel
better.
Shoulder feels better.
Yeah.
All right. So then you start to dive down the rabbit holes.
It is crazy.
Like that, isn't it?
It is a secret weapon, man. Like I'm the same as you. I'm 34. I've got no pain.
Yeah.
When I get pain, I'm like, yes, like, there's something to work on.
Yeah.
Like, it's like lateral knee pain was the last pain I had. That was a year or two ago now. And it's like, if you're like, if I'm eating shit food, you feel inflamed.
Yep.
You wake up in the morning, you're like, I feel sore. I feel older. But then if you're eating clean, like even just the last few days of being on the cleanse, I just feel I got no inflammation in my body whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's amazing how nutrition can
isn't it?
take pain out of the body. I think you were mentioning that by just changing your diet, you can take a lot of pains in your joints away.
Yeah.
Because it's just that low level chronic inflammation, or poor gut issue that all of a sudden you take that away and then pain starts to just disperse.
Yeah. Does your brother eat the same way as you now?
Yeah.
You guys are pretty on levels.
Yeah. He's same. Like pretty much our whole family is eating organically, and
that's sick.
Yeah, so we're quite aligned with all that.
Do you make like sort of cassava pastas or anything? Like, have you got some pasta set up?
My wife's an amazing cook.
Amazing cook. Yeah. So good.
Yeah,
from
dude.
scratch.
How fucking good is
We
that?
always talk about, like, for women, like, fuck, man, if they can, it's so, you don't realize how much, like, girls think guys want just from the look, you know what I mean? They think they want all that, but it's not. It's like, well, you want healthy, you want to look after himself, but you want that sort of cooking wifey style shit.
Mother archetype.
Because we can do it too, you know?
Yeah.
So, but it's just because it's one of those things in life you can't buy.
Nah,
You can have all the millions of dollars in the world, but unless you get a chef that's with you all the time, you can't do that. You can't order from cafes. It's so valuable.
She's an absolute blessing. Like the way how efficient she is in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it blows me away because we eat like restaurant quality food every
Better, right?
night.
You couldn't even,
I
can't even eat it out.
I can't go out because I know she cooks better at home. Yeah, and she's starting to do organic meal deliveries.
Nice.
Now, she thought she'd do it for postpartum mums, nourish.
Sick, man.
But then it's just like, there's people that just want meals. They don't have the passion to cook. They don't have the time, but they place an importance on their health. So
what's the business name?
It's the Life Harvest.
The Life Harvest.
Yeah, I follow that. Yeah, I think it's on Instagram.
It's on Instagram, the Life Harvest. So she's started doing organic meal delivery.
Wow.
It's only like small on the Gold Coast now until, I don't know.
See next place.
To see where we go. See where it goes. But back to the food quality, like absolute blessing, like you said, like it changes the game.
Yeah. I remember
someone that can cook.
You were telling us about the sourdough she whipped up, and you guys were doing it, and it's like, man, it sounds nuts.
Yeah. Well, we're living in England, right? So I played the last 5 years of my career in England, and they're backwards 20 years in nutrition. Where I was, they had no idea about nutrition.
Yeah.
And we couldn't find sourdough anyway. So my wife's like, I'm going to make it. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, she's supplying a cafe. 4 loaves 3 times a week, 10 loaves 3 times a week. I'm talking about the big 1,500 gram loaf.
Yeah.
We've got a mini bloody 3-level deck oven in our laundry, and she's baking bread and selling it to the local cafe.
And she loves it.
Yeah, she her passion is food. That's how she shows them up, is to cook and nourish people.
That's cool, man. That's a huge core value.
Yeah, we're doing a Sheridan and Sean, and then Sheridan made this ridiculous fucking lamb perfect meal, and we were like, oh my god, it's amazing. And Sean was like, yeah, He's like, I get this every night, fellas.
Yeah.
And I looked at him like with so much respect. I was like, you look like the man to be right now.
Yeah.
It's like, when you pull that off.
It's true.
It's fucking good.
Mate, as I get older, I respect people that have got their mental, emotional shit together, their training together, but their family life together, you know? When you can juggle kids, food, your own shit, and the relationship, I'm just like, how the fuck are they doing it?
And working out and shit.
Dude, like when I saw Paul, he's got 2 wives, 2 kids, crazy running a business, running heaps of businesses, and just whenever he sees you, he's so present. And you're just like, fuck, that's something to aspire to. You know what I mean? That's cool. That's that's up there. You know? And you're doing it too.
Yeah. Well, I'm no, by all means, no. Like,
we don't have 2 wives.
No, she knows.
Yeah.
Look, it's challenging, and I'm not, great at it at times. You know what I mean? But we do the best we can. And going back to core values, placing a priority on what you eat and how you live your life for us is the top priority. Like, there's like a non-negotiable.
Fully, that's where your energy comes from.
Like, exactly. It's non-negotiable. We'll only eat organically because I know what's in the other shit.
Yeah. How can you go back?
That's the thing. Once you can't go back.
No.
Because you know better, so then you have to do better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you feel like you're just cheating yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck, man, that was...
good chat.
Cool, fun chat.
Oh, shit, what's going on there? Your micro SD card is full. But that only happened probably 5 minutes ago.
So. Cool.
Shit.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks heaps for coming on, dude.
And, so Life Harvest for the food.
The Life Harvest for this food. For the 28-day reset, just mark minichiello.com. There'll be a link there, I think.
Yeah.
I'll hopefully get that running for February.
Fucking hell.
Fuck yeah, well thanks for coming on. We might as well stop it here because it's not recording anyway.
We'll cut it whatever from that.
For sure.
Right.
Much love, guys. See you soon.
See ya.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.